deploy it, that would be great. We're so glad you're here. And I hope it's as lovely wherever you are as it is in Vermont today. It's just remarkable here today. Gentle spring day. Great, Tammy. So we will deploy the vote survey before you leave to make sure you know where to find us also. Of all the people. We will make sure that you have your moment. Here's Phil. Here's Omar, Jeff, and Shannon. It's good to see so many of our SMEs on the call today. Again, we're going to begin in about a minute. If you know people who are not on the call today who wanted the vote, they can either write us for the absentee ballot, which you can return by tomorrow, or you can forward it to them. That is also fine. We just want to make sure the people who need the vote have it. All right, we're going to begin. Okay, here we go. May 28th, the long-awaited day. Next slide. We are so glad you're here. All folks are muted upon entry. There's not a ton of chatting going on today. This is really procedural. All calls are recorded. Of course, we can chat if you want. And all recordings of all calls are available on the Confluence after the call. Everyone's encouraged to participate if you have questions. There really is not very much new content today. The domains we've been addressing have been stable for some time. I just saw Trish in an earlier call. Nice to see you again, Trish. All right, next slide. We are accredited through HL7 by the American National Standards Institute. That means we and all of attendees of all of our meetings have the responsibility to comply fully with federal and state antitrust laws. And we apply these guidelines pretty generously, so we ask you to not just avoid obvious antitrust violations, but also to avoid any behavior that might be construed as an antitrust violation. And this is just part of our creating a safe, open, and ethical space to do the work that we do. Next slide. Okay, so we're going to go through brief announcements. We're going to highlight content across our 3 domains. There's not a ton of new things, just some little bits here and there. We'll then have our vote. Very exciting. And then, Tammy, we will make sure that we put the vote in the chat before the bottom of the hour. And then, per usual, this is our last meeting until August 6th. We'll talk more about that later because we go into worker bee build mode for a little while, just for 2 months. And then we come back on the 6th, ready to go again with our new domains. Next slide. Next slide. Corey's on the call today. I put him on the spot earlier, but we are always trying to include our other work streams and our announcements. The technical work stream just went through all of their ballot with their tickets on the ballot on Wednesday. And so now the work is done to apply them to the ST 3.0. Please do come to our technical workstream meetings every other week on Wednesday from 1 to 2. Implementation. We just had a really great conversation. When our new co-lead for the implementation workstream, CVS Health, and Chris Durant's really wanted to step back and think big picture. So not just talk about how to implement our standards, but the why and what it means to try to convince large organizations and entities to do this work at this moment in time. If you can catch the recording, please do, because it was pretty great. and we had some nice high-level conversations and some action items about stuff we might create together. Our next meeting is July 30th. It focuses on community health workers and their role in diagnosing and documenting social risk findings, aligned with core national instruments. We were asked to support us, state, and their community health workers in this specific problem, and we pulled it up to be all states and all community health workers so that we could create a national webinar and meeting on the topic. So that's on July 30th. And we'd love to see you at the Civitas conference, which is going to have a ton of Gravity panels and presentations. And I just found out it's at the same week as working group meeting. And so it's going to be a busy time in DC. Luckily, it's all DC. But HL7 working group meeting is Civitas, and I'm just going to be going up and down the metro over and over again. All right, next slide. We are, I mean, I say we, mostly Asha. We all have our roles on the team, and Asha is a master in engaging and connecting with subject matter experts at this phase of work. And so in the fall, just as we sunset this one, we've already started outreaching, and Shannon can attest. One of our experts for mistreatment of non-elder vulnerable adults is also an expert in topics and disabilities, so we've been talking to her. We're already reaching out to try to get our subject matter experts who will be the core of our fall work, our 3 domains, our access to primary care, talking to our colleagues at the American Medical Association and the American Academy of Family Practitioners and HRSA and others, really just trying to make sure that we cast that net broadly. We always try to figure out if we can have representatives from the government programs that fund the resources or the domain of reference. So access to primary care, communication access, which was an outgrowth of our MARSHA, you might remember, our language access domain. We carved it out for future work because of the unique access requirements. So in MARSHA, you might know experts in communication access. Please send them our way because of your expertise in that prior domain. And then topics in physical disability and access and accommodations as well. So those are our fall 2026 domains. If you have any subject matter experts that you feel like you want to send our way, or even just early literature or instruments, or, just let us know. We would love to include it. And we start trying to nail down subject matter experts. Outreach begins now, May, June, and then by July, we hope to have our bench set. So please send us an email. Any questions on this? Oh, yes, please do send CVs too. We do try to make sure that we are able to attest to the expertise that's guiding the domain. So if you have access to a curriculum vitae for any of your subject matter expert opportunities, we would love them, or we can get them directly from them. All right, next slide. Any questions? No? Okay, next slide. Of all the meetings, this tends to be the one that is the most procedural. But that's just the way HL7 is sometimes, right? So Gravity, who are we? We're a collaborative initiative with a goal to develop consensus-driven data standards to support the collection, use, and exchange of data to address the social determinants of health. Next slide. These are our members. I just want to do a call in to our amazing friends at Office of the National Coordinator who are back as a premier member of our work. Hugely important. They're like cross ecosystem, cross federal data standard coordination is kind of like, it's so closely aligned with everything that we do. So really, really grateful to have them back. As not just a participating entity, and they've been that, all along, but actually as a supporting member. So thank you, ONC. And thank you to all of the members that help make the dream work. All of our sponsoring members and our designated members, right? So this is a Many Hands Make Labor Light initiative, and so we all have to pitch in, and these are the governance entities that help drive what we do. And grateful. If you have any ideas for community-based organizations or patient representatives, Janice is one of them. We're always trying to make sure that we increase our bench of our designated membership from a social justice perspective, right? Patient experts like Janice, sorry to call you in, sweet, and
Thank
community,
you.
yes, and community-based organizations that are offering direct service. All right, next slide. Here we are. This is this table we've been going through since February 5th, which seems like a millennia ago. And here we are at May 28th, which is our consensus vote on our spring domains. Next slide. And we're, yes, as a little call out, we're reconvening on the 6th of August. And I know it's like in summer vacation time, but we have a lot to do. And so we had to extend, and we can't, it gets too complicated going into November and December. So we go through November right before Thanksgiving and then pause for the holidays. But yeah, so we'll reconvene on August 6th. Next slide. All right, process. I'm going to go through some process slides. Forgive me. We follow a formal process for how we determine the quorum and the vote. And, we think about merging into other methods that HL7 does votes like through like uh, Jira and stuff like that. And I know Rob, you're on the call. Right now, maybe we'll do that, but next time. But for right now, this is the process that allows us to determine quorums. So you join Gravity Project if you want to have your vote all votes are counted. Like, I mean, all votes matter, but we determine quorum by the votes of committed parties and members and subject matter experts. Anyone, for the longest time, anyone can join the project either as a committed party or other interested party on the Confluence. And then during the vote, committed parties, members, and subject matter experts are asked to vote on the project that have been developed, the deliverables that have been developed. And then you have a week, of course, to submit comments. So just let us know. So anyone can submit votes or comments, but consensus is calculated based on committed parties, Gravity members, and subject matter experts. Sorry, there's a delay in my. Sound good? There's like an audio delay. I think we're good though. Okay. Any questions on this? Okay, we just need to make sure that we have a defined set. Next slide. This is how we vote. So that was everyone votes. We established quorum by committed parties, members, and subject matter experts as part of this work. These are the ways we vote. And I've been saying this twice a year now for 7 years. So I'm like, here we go again. A yes vote is one of the ways you can vote. It does not necessarily mean that the deliverable is ideal, but it's better to move forward than block the deliverable, right? Consensus is partly about compromise, right? We've all made decisions and choices and over the course of the time. Yes with comment is a way to vote yes with a little bit of power to have us do something, right? So if you want to do yes with a comment, then any comment has to be resolved. If there's a lot of comments that are on the same thing, we have to resolve them publicly. And so we just want to make sure that you understand that power. So if you have something you want to say on the record formally but you still want to support the deliverable, it's a yes with comment. You have some time to get us that comment. All comments are delivered in an email. They're delivered to Gravity Project, and you have until next week. And so you can do yes with comment and then follow up anytime with that email. We already have some yes with comment votes on people on community organizations and medical legal partnerships who reviewed some of the deliverables and had thoughts and ideas, right? And we love a good comment. It shows engagement. Just the same thing as in tech, right? Formal objection. So the formal objection at this point in time is a little different because by now, with all of the opportunities for consensus, that formal objection has to include comments that indicate a path to address the comment in a way that meets the consensus we've all been working on, right? So you can't just blow everything up without trying to offer a path forward. This is consensus principles that integrates the general consensus of the rest of the entities, or where we've arrived after like 4 months of working together. If you do not submit such a comment with your formal objection, it becomes an abstain. It just flips. Does that part make sense? We've been working together for a long time. All of this is transparent. So just make sure that if you're going to do a formal objection, it can't just be like a comment, like yes with a comment, like please address this. It has to be address this. We acknowledge this. We reviewed this meeting. We feel like this is the way forward, yada, yada. It's a little more complicated. And you can always abstain. For entities that want to vote on a specific domain, like some experts feel comfortable like voting on their domain of reference, but want to abstain from the other domains because they don't feel party to them. That's totally fine. Anyone can abstain from any one of the domains. The votes for each domains are calculated independently. Sarah Bahal, master of voting events. Did I miss anything? I think that's it. Did I get anything incorrect?
Yeah, that's right. And then we have timing on the next slide for when folks need to complete the poll.
Great. Perfect. I just want to make sure that the master of ceremonies blessed the slide. Next slide. All right. So we can drop this in now. So Tammy, for you, because we'll repeat this slide later on. But you have until tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time or 5 p.m. Pacific Time to complete your vote on the survey. Most people just do it now. Sometimes it requires 2 clicks. But note that that's the survey, that's the vote, and you still have until next week to get the comment in, as in that bottom. It's if you're saying yes with comment or formal objection and you want to get your comments in, you still have some time. But the vote has to be logged by 5 p.m. PST or 8 p.m. EST tomorrow. So there's the voting poll. The masters are all on the Confluence. They're largely stable. We're also adding that critical patient experience of social care measure. Janice, I saw your amazing LinkedIn post about it. I love it. And then we just want to make sure that everyone has access. And then note, you have to press submit for answers to be recorded. Sometimes people fill out the survey but don't actually submit the survey. We want to make sure you do that. And again, get those comments to us by next week. Send it to gravityproject@hl7.org if you have them. All right. I see, just making sure Tammy you got the link, Tammy, correct? I'm sure she did. Okay, great. Okay. Any questions on this? Does everyone snag? The vote link is going to come again later. Sarah, be right at the end. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
that's right. And then also, just to know, I put it in the chat as well, but we recently updated the master lists with today's edits. So the master lists are up to date now.
Great. There's a couple little, capitalizations to fix and synonyms to add, things like that. Okay, does anybody need any time to capture the voting link? No?
Unfortunately, I don't follow directions well. How do we get the voting link? Sorry.
It's, no, Marcia, this is why I give space. No, it's not that maybe I don't give directions well.
Maybe you do, but my kids tell me I can't follow directions. So there you go.
Okay,
Okay, got it.
there you go. Okay.
Thank you.
That was personally delivered, hand delivered to the one and only Marcia Regenstein.
Thank you.
All right. Anybody else need? And then usually, like we have our friend Lucy, who can't be here today. Lucy, we always send it to her in an email because she has a hard time getting it in the chat. Every time.
Lucy is here.
Oh, Lucy's
Lucy is
here!
here today, and Lucy just voted, and thank you very much.
Well,
So
Lucy, historically, every
you can
time
end, you can end the meeting now.
Yeah, I was like,
But
you're not looking at who's here. I have
I
a
know,
quick,
I'm so sorry. You said you weren't going to be here, so I assumed.
Yeah, but
I felt-
I figured it out. Here I
I
am. I voted. Thank you so much for
okay.
all the SMEs and everybody's work on these incredibly difficult but essential topics. Thank
Thank
you.
you. And Lucy,
um,
I hope I'm not incorrect in stating that usually I do email you a direct link, correct? That is
I
true.
have a quick comment, Sarah.
Yeah.
I I tried opening the links to the domains and none of them opened. I got 504s on all of them except for the enhancement link.
That happened to me as well.
Yeah. So
Oh,
yeah, the domains, all of them are 504, but the measure I could open.
I could
okay.
I could open the links.
Okay, that'd be great. Oh, you
So
could? Somebody could do it?
I
Where?
could.
Yeah,
me
it just
too.
it just
Okay.
says
Oh, opening to
504
Chrome.
gateway timeout.
Yeah, I got the
I don't
Yeah, I
know.
got the
504
gateway
too.
too.
Yeah.
So
Um, I
Sarah,
wonder if that's Microsoft. Is it Microsoft that's doing it? That's what I have.
Do you have Safari? Do you have Safari, Janice?
Yeah, well, you're trying to
I
open
use
up the
Safari.
Confluence links. Is that what it is? Is that what
well, I'm
these
trying to figure
links?
out is it opening the links from the chat or is it opening the
From
links
the
on the
chat,
top?
we
From the
can't, when we
chat.
open the survey, within the survey itself, it won't, the
Oh,
don't go to the links don't coincide. I get a 504.
Okay, so they open for me from
Where?
the from the vote
Survey?
from the survey
so
from the
what?
vote
Well,
page. So I'm
Oh, mine
wondering
just opened
if
now too.
if this is a Confluence thing.
yeah. And so what we'll do is I'll put the links to every individual. I'll put the links first of all. The masters are always on the Confluence.
Yeah.
We just tried to make it easy by putting the links in
Oh, it
and
opened. It opened now.
yay!
Well, I'll go through, maybe you need to do it 2 times for some.
Sometimes you do need to do it 2 times.
Yeah, okay, it did. Thank you. Some people are just primary and some of us are secondary.
At least we're
I,
not in an ER looking for help.
and you're
Yeah,
all primary to me,
I
Janice.
know we are, but at least it worked. Now everybody knows, just I closed it out and reopened it. So I just wanted to look again at it. Thank you.
Tammy, are you good? Okay. Okay, I can't hear you, but I
Oh,
can read
it's
your lips.
working for me. Yes.
Fantastic. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, this is why we just sit on this tab for a little bit. We want to make sure everybody has what they need. Awesome. And everyone's good? Everyone has what they need. Okay. This is a process meeting. It's just about making sure people have what they need. And again, at base, we try to make it easy for you by putting the links, but if you independently navigate to the Confluence, all of those masters are on the pages there. Okay. Go team. Next slide. Oh, you're the best. Sarah Bahal, you're the best. Like literally. Okay. Next slide. There, okay. I've said this every time, but this is when I get a little sad about it. Um, the the honor we have of sitting with these amazing experts, not just in the meetings, that's when you all get to hang out with them. But we're lucky because we get to be with them every week for 4 months, right? Sit with their thoughtfulness, their care, their ethics, right? And I'm saying this broadly across our three domains. I'm going to say, and specifically, I'm going to start here. So just, Smeeze, thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for your guidance. Thank you for your inspiration, right? We are all just so grateful as a Gravity team, grateful as a community for how you've guided us through this work. So thank you. We'll be talking about this a little bit later, but new to Gravity is we are going to be writing white papers at the end of every domain to kind of catalog the knowledge. We hadn't done that before, which is silly because we do knowledge creating cataloging work. So I see my Trish leaving, my expert. She's always good at writing, nodding. So well, that's going to be coming. So by the time we kick off our new domains in the fall, we hope to have a white paper representing the wisdom and knowledge that we've all created together. But Dr. Jeffrey Hall, thank you. Ron Asierno, I don't know if you're here. I've been too busy cataloging. Thank you. Dr. Shannon Griffin Blake, thank you. I hope you stay with us as we think ahead to the fall domains. Incredibly grateful for all of you. Janice, do you have another question? Is your hand just still up? Hand was still up.
I'm sorry,
Okay.
it was still up. I just said we'll probably be listed in the papers as Gravity Group et al. Or something.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe we'll figure
knows?
it out. Yeah, who knows? We're just doing something new. All right. So Jeffrey, Ron, and Shannon, thank you from the deepest bottom of my heart, our hearts. Okay, next slide. We've tried to trim things out that are not part of the vote. I'm not going to spend too much time on things that are stable. So these have been stable for some time. No changes. And so I'm going to move these core categories that define the domain. Categories mean this represents everything, like the parent bucket, the envelope that we do our work with. And these category concepts are part of what we use to name and define our value sets when we do our work in VSAC. So when we curate and collate our value sets, I might have different instruments, I might have different diagnoses, I might have different goals. They all go under this general category, and this category also becomes the tag in the FIRE IG. Right? So it's the parent concept, the umbrella for the work we do. Next slide. These are also stable. So these are our mistreatment types. Bye, Tammy. These are constant across many iterations. Next slide. And these are all the same. So there's these 5 core concepts, and the domain, this domain was very prudent and just had the 5 core concepts and did not divide them further. And again, we'll talk in child maltreatment that the neglect concepts are expanded with child maltreatment, and then there's an additional concept of abuse beyond these 5, the 4. Okay. Next slide. Next slide. Let this white screen serve as a call to research for our community to try to figure out best-in-class ways of identifying individuals and the scenarios within this domain. We had this one instrument, it has not changed. As with we sometimes our work just gathers together experts who then have great ideas about validating additional instruments, and we shall see. Next slide. These are next slide. These are the existing codable concepts that relate to those concepts we had above. So these are all codes. So the codes on the left are ICD-10 codes that exist. In our SNOMED CT column, there's codes that exist, the history look back one, but then we're going to need to make those vulnerable adult concepts that are aligned with our definitions we had earlier. Janice?
Yeah, sorry. I know we've, oops, sorry, I guess I was off. I know we've looked at this ton of times, but I just realized that if it's somewhere already in your record that you've experienced psychological abuse, or physical abuse or financial abuse or something, but you're not yet vulnerable, I'm wondering, I mean, that still could be picked up later, right? Once they're considered vulnerable. I don't know. I think
Oh, yeah.
anybody that's experienced them, it seems like they would be vulnerable.
Well, not necessarily by our definition of like how we arrive, because it has to be that matching, right? So the way we determined the domain is the matching of the mistreatment to the impairment type and the leveraging of it. So let's just say I've experienced maybe financial abuse in my past, it doesn't mean that I meet criteria for mistreatment of non-elder vulnerable adults every time in the future. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but often though, psychological or physical abuse, I think kind of stays in there like forever.
It can, and if it does, then it meets
Yeah.
criteria. Certainly, if it's creating some impairment that's matched to the domain. And Jeff, you're on the call, so I'm trying here. But we don't want to assume that it is. I'm actually thinking of
Right.
Ron. Ron Asierna was very careful of making sure we do not, because by definition, this domain is implies that we're breaching autonomy and reporting to APS, right? He's very careful always to scope it so that we're always considering whether the criteria of the domain have been met.
I got it. It's a current, really.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Well, and yes, we have a history concept, but then the vulnerability is a in the moment is like relevant assessment, always. Jeff, did I do a good job?
You did. Ron would be proud.
Okay, okay. You tell him. Okay. Next slide. And then this is just aligns with the previous slide. So next slide. And then just these little call out here. So if you don't know, ICD and Tammy is no longer on the call. She's certainly Sue Bowman is here. My amazing friend Sue. So the way we document abuse, it's always there's codes that talk about the sequence. There is initial, subsequent, and sequelae. We did not put all these codes on this table. That's why we have the XA, XS codes, because there is no functional just confirmed code. You have to subspecify to the initial, subsequent, or sequelae. We just didn't put them all on the table, but they're on the master. Okay. Okay. Next slide. Next slide. These are all stable. Next slide. Oh, and then this is the new thing. So we realized we did not have, there was never a non-elder history of financial abuse concept. So we made a history of elder financial abuse concept with our elder abuse domain, but there's nothing in SNOMED for non-elder adult financial abuse. So we had to make it, we talked about that earlier, and we're just making sure that that gap is filled. Great. Fantastic. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, next slide. Next slide. These are all, many of these are from prior domains. We had some thoughts on how to differentiate and talk about the maintaining autonomy while reducing risk. We've had some talks with our subject matter experts about different ways to approach it. We came back around here and we know it's going to involve some wordsmithing with SNOMED, but it's exactly what needs to be said. And we'll go from there. But this is not new. You've seen this before. Next slide. Next slide. Interventions. These again are all constant. We have definitions for many of them. We are just, wordsmithing some that are a little trickier, but we're getting there in the definition category. Next slide. Because all of our definitions for SNOMED need resources. Because the safeguarding program was the one that came up as a possible correlate to maintaining autonomy while reducing risk, right? Right, Asha? But it's actually not the same conceptual program, but we then brought it in as well. And Asha, I think I'm representing that correctly, correct?
You are representing it correctly, yes.
Okay, just doing the best I can to be over here. So an interesting thought, again, just to kind of track what happened with Disability Support Service, is we had this concept originally and it was general. And then we identified all the US specific programs like Aging and Disability Resource Centers and Center for Independent Living that serve this role. And so we sunset Disability Support Service, but part of what's happening internationally right now is Gravity's being asked to consider non-US services and programs, right? And we're entering into this work. Oh, Oh, Rob, we got you. We got you. We'll try to figure that out. We can always send it to you by email. So we originally sunset the disability support service concept because it was in the US, it's AADRC or CILs or any of the, the ACL supported programs. But disability support service is still a critical concept internationally as kind of a general concept of which those represent. So we added it back in. Have you paid it? I'm gonna miss you guys so much. Maybe we should just have like a July barbecue all
I
together.
haven't paid Pete Adobe yet, and it's challenging sometimes. Anyway, $200 a year for like a single individual if you want to use it multiple times or whatever. I'm like, as a patient partner, I'm not paying $200 a year. Anyway,
I know somebody should pay that for you.
yeah. I just asked different individuals to work, to send it to me.
You just name if you ever want us to help, we got you. Okay, nothing else has changed here. Just wanted to represent the disability support service part. All right, Rob, did you get your slides fixed?
No, but that's all right.
Oh,
I'll deal with it later.
is that from the Confluence?
Yeah, Confluence is giving me an error.
Oh, Confluence gives lots of errors. And so we'll see. Oh, Sarah's going to send them to you by email. And thank you. Love it, Patricia. Lovely. We are going to be centering disability concepts extensively in our fall domain work. I know, Trish, you will not be far away from me. Wonderful. Okay, next slide. And then these are just all existing SNOMED concepts to represent the professions that matter. And just want to note in the therapy concepts here, so there's two different conventions you can see. You can see refer to occupational therapy, refer for occupational therapy, refer for physical therapy, but there's no refer to physical therapy in SNOMED. So I like to say Gravity just walks around picking up rocks underneath in terminologies and being like, oh, there's no match here, right? And so this actually relates to work that we're doing in the service classification effort, where because we're trying to represent services systematically for the purposes of navigation and connection, we're doing this systematic review of the way we represent services, the way we represent specialties, and the way we represent programs. So we're going to work with SNOMED on this. But who knew that this was part of our social determinants of health work? But you'll see patterns as well in the child maltreatment domain. But we're going to figure this out with SNOMED. We meet with them every week. Next slide. Any questions on this treatment of non-older vulnerable adults? Jeff, do you have any final thoughts? Shannon, any final thoughts?
The only one for me, which might have been already addressed in one of the earlier community calls, related to the intervention piece.
Mhm.
And I think most people probably get this. We wanted to explicitly noted that referral and intervention are functionally two different things. They can be very intimately tied, but the way we talked about referral is, more so simply as a mechanism that is linking and that involves a handover. Whereas when it came to intervention, we really tried to make sure that the conversation was about, those strategies that theoretically and practically are truly designed to ensure that there's some type of behavior change or some type of change in health outcomes. So just want to mention that in case that piece activated for some folks. Over.
Jeff, it certainly is relevant, and thank you for bringing that back. A referral is the beginning of an intervention process. It is not the intervention, even if it's coded as a procedure. Thank you for re-elevating that. Wise, Jeff, I swear. Lucy.
Yeah, this is a comment from outer space, and please forgive me, but I just heard a webinar about a subject relatively new for me called digital health. And very briefly, digital health starts with telehealth, which we all know about from COVID, and then moved somewhere else. And now the newest target for digital health is, quote, interventions, unquote. So all of us now, when we think about interventions, given our perspective on the importance of human interaction, just be alert that the digital health field now sees clinical intervention as their next gold mine. So this is too awful to contemplate. I'm just introducing it here, and hopefully none of us will live long enough to see this replace actual useful interventions. Thank you.
Thank you for logging that concern, Lucy. It relates to actually some concerns that our member co-leads of our implementation affinity group raised earlier today in the implementation affinity group meeting. Preparing for, like, what does it mean to be responsible and prepare and safeguard for futures where the data we create, where either the absence of the data we create or the presence of the data we create is leveraged. Yeah, it was an interesting meeting. Okay, Jeffrey, thank you. Lucy, thank you. Shannon, as the resident final Amneva Smee, do you have any thoughts before I let you go?
I don't know if I have anything to add, Sarah. I do just want to reflect on that last comment as we think about digital health interventions and even how we're discussing this topic, that we continue to try to proactively consider how we can be supporting vulnerable adults, and whether it's mobile apps or thinking about text reminders or telemedicine platforms, they will never be able to have characteristics of empathy that we must bring to the work that we're doing, understanding who we are interfacing with, caring for, and trying to provide support. So my last thought is, again, as we move forward, to consider again the human nature and the importance of supporting each other as a collective community. So I so appreciate being part of the discussion and a SME for this group, and just look forward to how we're able to put this into action ahead.
Yeah, way to bring us home. Thank you. So great. You guys are so great. So thank you. So that Shannon so elegantly created a closure for this public phase of the mistreatment of non-elder vulnerable adults period. We get to work with them on the white paper, which will be our total joy, and we hope to share it with you later on. Again, thank you. Thursday mornings have been pretty special for the last 4 months. I wish it was 4 years. All right, next slide. We're on to our next domain. This is our child maltreatment domain, I think. Phil, you are in the hot seat, I think, for the expert of reference on this call.
I think Emily's on as well.
Oh, Emily's on as well. I'm not doing a very good job seeing my lists of, is she? Oh, there she is. Hi, Emily. Ha Wonderful. I'm sorry.
Hi, I'm here.
I know you are. I see that now. Thank you. All right. So our next slide. I did this for the last domain, and I'm going to say again, it has been our total honor meeting with these amazing pediatric heroes every Tuesday evening for the last 4 months. I have to say, this particular domain and these, sorry, it's going to make me emotional, these amazing people, like, so grateful. There's humans as wise and compassionate leading the direct care and compassionate care and evidence-based care of kids in this domain of reference. I'm a clinical faculty in pediatrics. at Larner College of Medicine, and I know I come in with a pediatric bias, but just these amazing humans. So Dr. Emily Brown, Dr. Catherine or Kathy Wells, and Dr. Phil Scribano, thank you so much for guiding this domain. This is so complicated and hard so well, and we were incredibly grateful. And we'll miss you. So if we're that's a late day for a girl who starts at 6 o'clock to go all the way through the evening, but it was worth it just to hang out with you guys every Tuesday, and looking forward to the white paper that we'll be crafting together. Thank you. All right, next slide. So this has not changed. This is aligned with the World Health Organization, and it does position us well for some of the international efforts that we are have our eyes on and are being asked to participate with. Next slide. Next slide. This is a robust list of instruments that has not changed. And I really want to level in, and we said this earlier, that know that these are not screening instruments. They're standardized instruments because they're not, screening is a purpose that these instruments are not all created to support. And we will do our best to represent the guardrails that are in the bottom call out here. So some of these instruments are validated specifically for specific settings. And so we will do our best to represent that as we carry these forward into terminology. And some of these instruments are validated for specific roles and training, and we will do our best to carry that forward there as well. Just because of the risk of not noting that as we think about the terminology to support these critical instruments. A robust set of different methods and purposes, but they apply to different settings and different roles. Next slide. Next slide. So these definitions and concepts are pretty stable. You're going to see the SNOMED concepts and the ICD concepts shortly. The new one, really, that is, there was a concept for it in the synonym in SNOMED is the medical child abuse, but this is the step forward. Next slide. And then representing the core concepts of neglect, physical, medical, supervisory, and educational. Noting again that I said before that the child domain has subspecifies types of neglect to a further degree than the mistreatment of non-elder vulnerable adult did. Next slide. Here are those codes I mentioned, right? So it includes those initial subsequent sequelae, qualifiers in the ICD-10-CM element. Next slide. And again, these are the concepts in sexual, child abuse. Next slide. And then the note here, and Phil and Emily can speak to this, is that there's a lot of slashes. And Emily, I'm thinking of you, and here's the slash of the fine line between using the word psychological and using the word emotional and the type of abuse. In ICD, they use psychological. In the literature, they use both. And in SNOMED, they use both. And so what we're going to be doing is just trying to create symmetry and consistency in SNOMED. So if there was a emotional concept, but not a psychological one, we will add it, and vice versa, just to allow what we know to be true, which is that these concepts are used as synonyms in the literature. And we're just going to try to address that gap. Janice?
What's going on here? There, thank you. I had a problem there. So once again, these are like CPS reportable, except for the history of where you would document it. Is that correct?
Well, I'm going to defer to our subject matter experts on that one, because yeah, I'm assuming the history of would not. I'm assuming if it's relevant for the visit and triggering an AP like a Child Protective Services report, you would be documenting it currently. But I'm not pediatric child abuse pediatrician. Phil, Emily?
Yeah, I think the history of is past. If you have a disclosure of something that happened in the past, I guess, and has been investigated and all, that could be utilized in that way. But in general, that's usually means that there's been some action, some investigation, etc. I don't know that we use those as much as the, when you are confronted with a question, you make the diagnosis regardless if it was the past history or present. So I think this probably has a fair amount of variability in terms of how it's used clinically.
Thank you, Phil. Janice, did that answer your question?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, because I'm just saying, like, a lot of adults come through and that doesn't,
Yeah.
now say they were abused as children or even perhaps a teenager. But the situation, I think, that you have that in parentheses means that it has been perhaps, investigated or whatever.
Yeah, the situation is how they qualify these type of history concepts, not as present problems. So this happened. That's how all SNOMED history of concepts are, maybe not all, but most of them are defined as situations in the past. Yeah. Rob, hi, friend.
Hey, so I don't want to get down into the weeds necessarily, unless you want to right now. But so you're proposing some new synonyms for those that are bold, right? That's the thinking.
Well, we're proposing synonyms because if you look at SNOMED, there's no consistency.
With regards to emotional and psychological.
Correct.
Yeah, I'm getting that. And have you had that conversation with them yet with regards to that?
No, we have not.
Okay. But that's the proposal, right? That we would have that conversation with them in order to put these forward once, because again, I don't want to get too kind of caught up in the weeds, but we're voting on agreeing with this, but then we need to get the folks at SNOMED and within the context of this particular, let's just say, proposal in our vote to get them to agree to do
That's
this.
the way it always is. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Because I'm sensing that we're fine with saying that that those two things can be aligned, and that I don't know that we're proposing that they are synonyms necessarily in the world, but we're fine within the context of SNOMED allowing them to be synonyms. In other words, because you had raised this concern that there's a difference between psychological and emotional. I thought. No, you're not. Okay. So you're fine. So we're proposing that those two words are fine, at whatever happens to be in a system, like in ICD-10. Maybe I guess it's all psychological abuse.
Yeah, we can't change that, unfortunately. There's no synonym over there, right?
No,
So
I get that.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the other thing is that the kind of this is partly just the way SNOMED is, but we're capturing situations, findings, events.
Mm-hmm.
And we're fine with the kind of, I'm not sure the right word that I want to use here, but the slipperiness associated with SNOMED across the use of those three different things, right?
We were not fine with the lack of consistency between each we were not fine with having emotional abuse of child be the event and psychological abuse during childhood being the finding, and having no consistency across those three related things. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I hope I'm answering your question.
Well, because I'm kind of dancing around this issue that there's not really something there that is, in my opinion, clearly associated with an event in childhood, other than an event, other than the event one, which is the events in SNOMED aren't great and they're not well used in the systems. And there's all kinds of, I think, complicated teleologic things that might come out of whether we'll find these in systems, whether we can get systems to put them in. I would rather we propose a finding that's very explicitly a childhood event finding. I use that word event not in the SNOMED way. So, but you don't have that, right?
So
So
isn't
you've got a
how come-
finding that is really targeted towards adults. Granted, you can say, well, it'd be like victim of psychological abuse during childhood, and you're a child, so obviously it's happening during childhood. So you could still use that, and maybe that's what you're thinking.
Oh, that's what we do. Yes. So that's
Because you have that, it's there, but it's not. That's not the way SNOMED intended it.
the victim
So-
of psychological abuse during childhood is not meant to be the current documentation of child psychological abuse.
It's, I think, intended to be something that would be found in a adult.
Oh no, it's a direct map in the ref set. Weirdly.
So far as you guys are determining.
Well, SNOMED determines it, and iMagic determine it's the map.
Okay. All right. Well, then that throws some other things.
Sorry, we're getting nerdy here.
Yeah, so we'll
when
just
you-
stop. But so you guys have just decided, and you've talked to SNOMED about the fact that this is, the way that childhood things are identified. Because you're not going to find us anywhere else. I mean, otherwise we would have a million replicated concepts that just say during childhood, right?
Oh, we agree it's awkward. It is there, right?
Okay. Yeah. All right. It's just, I would rather we just have victim of psychological abuse, period.
But then we have no map for the child psychological abuse.
Well, you don't, but
74.3. I know. I hear what you're saying.
but
I hear what you're
it's
saying.
a child, right? So if you're recording something about a child, then it's a child.
Correct.
It's
And
not
that's the way ICD-11's moving. ICD-11 strips the child. So this is the legacy concept, victim of psychological abuse during childhood. T74.32 is also a legacy concept. The future, the hope, the bright hope. And Trish was just in Geneva. So let's just say the bright hope is that it actually is represented in the model. And there's no child psychological abuse. There's just a psychological abuse. And if if the child is documents for the child, etc. That's the future.
Okay. Well, I'll just make my comments.
Oh, so I hope am I hearing you well enough? Are you saying you don't want us to create the synonym because you don't want us to proliferate?
No, I want you to get them to create a different concept, but I'll make a comment.
Oh, okay. We just weren't even going there, but if you want us to, that's
Yeah, no, I that's, I'm sensing that. But I'm confused as to why we didn't push that. But anyway.
Because if you document T74.32, it maps to one of these buddies in your in your record. It's there. It's already hardwired, right?
Yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah, unfortunately. But I would love to fight the fight with you. Let's go fight dragons.
Well, yeah. Well, let me kind of think it through as to whether this is, presumably it's out and it is available for use and people are in fact using it. So it's, anyway.
Okay.
Done.
I would love to play with iMagic with you someday. It's like my favorite thing.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Okay. I think
Bye.
I hear what you're saying and we agree. And then with the current, and that's the future, but for right now, we're just trying to make it not awkward with emotional and psychological not being um, represented systematically and comprehensively. Okay, the next slide is not as complicated. Phil, Emily, anything else on that? I think we're good. Are we good? Okay, next slide. Nothing, there is still the precedent of the child and the child, but there's nothing, this is not new. Next slide. This is where we are offering a synonym because child affected by Munchausen's by proxy is the former way. It's still used, I think, Phil, you were saying in some countries, but medical child abuse is the preferred. So we have our definition, which is aligned with Munchausen's by proxy, and we will submit it to SNOMED. Next slide. And again, this is to avoid proliferation of concepts. If it means the same thing, we're just going to try to bind them together. Next slide. Goals. So we have some of these are incoming concepts from our protective factors work. Some of these are prior ones, and then we're working on aligning with the American Academy of Pediatrics definitions for the top 3 more soon there. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. So there's just a whole, and we had this conversation about parts before. There is a home visitation program concept already and an early childhood concept in SNOMED. But these are pretty stable. Next slide. And then, I already raised this on the prior slide, is that we have lack of conformity with the way we're representing therapies, referring for and referring to. We'll work on that with SNOMED. Other than that, these are all just existing SNOMED concepts. Lucy?
Yeah, this is a question from left field for all the experts on the call. Does it matter whether a child is with birth parents versus foster parents for all of these concepts and interventions and so forth? Are the situations different enough from a clinical point of view to make a distinction? This happens in foster care. To me, would imply from my very distant perch that authorities would need to be notified if something happened, whereas if it's within, quote, a family, unquote, maybe the intervention would be different. So I'm just wondering about that.
I'm not sure I fully understand, but I'll try to take a stab, Lucy, and say that regardless of the environmental circumstances a child is living in, if there is reason to suspect maltreatment, abuse, neglect, medical child abuse, whatever, regardless of that familial situation that they're living under, it'd still be reported. The nuances we can get into nuances of where it's reported. There's institutional reports for certain situations, and this is all deep weeds that are state dependent in terms of how they approach that. There are codes that define who the perpetrator is. Other subcodes that are give some relational aspect, but we didn't broach into any of that in our group in these discussions.
That's incredibly helpful. Thank you. I'm sorry I didn't articulate the question very well, but you figured it out and you've answered it. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you, friends. And then, of course, Sue Bowman's reminding me that we can do synonyms and ICD as index terms. I'm in my facilitation agileness, I forget things. And thank you, Jeff, for your thoughts. I also thought, Lucy, of how I have to notify if the foster parents are not the perpetrators, Bill, and they're in DCF custody for other reasons, I thought, Lucy, your comment brought to mind how I need to involve DCF in transfers of care and awareness in additional specialty care because they are the foster parent is like the home, but DCF assumes responsibility for the kid. So I thought I know that there's extra notification I have, like pick up the phone and call the care manager and make sure the care manager is aware and it's part of the case and they're aware that I'm doing this, right? So I'm just acknowledging there's another level of what you're talking about that may not be what you're talking about, but that's what I remembered. That's what I thought of as well. Is all the coordination that's required when a kid is in custody.
And
Um,
Thank you,
there's different.
Sarah.
I
oh,
was gonna
sorry.
say there's differences in legal ramifications as well too, because if you're a foster care parent
Yeah.
and there is a confirmed case of abuse, then your license is immediately revoked. So
Yeah. And I
things
wasn't even
like
thinking
that.
about the foster parent as the perpetrator.
Yeah.
I was just thinking
Yeah.
about like,
While they're in their care.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
Well,
you.
I have to say that all of you who actually deal with this in real life are just heroes because malpractice, if not criminal behavior, gets reported in the media, and people like me read about just horrendous inability to correct horrifying situations. It's very distressing, and I'm sure you encounter this a lot. So thank you.
No, this is like my call in early about how grateful I mean, just these our subject matter experts are amazing. So thank you. All right, I think we're good on these questions. And again, Jeff, thanks for your wisdom. He's just dropping it. Next slide. Did I make this little line? Maybe I feel like I have a line on my slides here. Next slide.
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
Yeah, it's just a little mark. Just a little teal mark. And next slide. Again, we have some concepts that were not in SNOMED CT that we need to develop definitions for. Next slide. Again, those are all stable. Thank you. Amazing child maltreatment subject matter experts. Thanks for guiding us through this domain. Thank you, community, for being with us on it. And just really grateful for this work. The child maltreatment domain was born out of, we initially addressed topics in interpersonal safety in both the child maltreatment domain and the abuse of non-elder vulnerable adults domain came out of needing to circle back around. So, Phil, Emily, any final thoughts before we go?
That was a lot of fun working with Asha and Sarah Squared and our trio of colleagues. So thank you for giving us that chance to contribute.
It was our honor. Emily? Oh, she said, agreed, thank you. Classic Emily. So Trish, those are in our all SDOH domain concepts, so they are not called in specifically here. All right. Thank you, friends. Luckily, we're working on our white paper and a social ecological model for child maltreatment updated with the brilliance of these SMEs coming soon. All right.
This is Omar. I apologize, just driving and trying to grasp it all. Great job on the two previous domains. I see that in this domain, referral is considered an intervention, but not in the first one. And I was wondering if folks can comment on that, because I was going to chime in the first ones that was mentioned, but from a research standpoint, as you know, Sarah, I'm a researcher. A referral, a warm handout referral. So someone gets a screen for depressive symptoms or for health or medical need. Then the case manager, community health worker intervene and provides a linkage, a warm handout referral to a clinical social worker or to a lawyer, right? Makes the call, schedules that individual with the lawyer, right? Provides that referral. That I see it as an intervention from a research standpoint. That itself is an intervention. So the warm handout referral is an intervention. So I was wondering, sorry, I just came in late.
No,
So
no.
just
And
wanted
I
to,
hope I can
yeah.
allay your fears. Okay, so what Jeff was talking about earlier, and Omar, thank you for coming in. What Jeff was talking about earlier was kind of like different types of interventions and tiers of interventions, right? And suffice to say, and I said this briefly, but I'm going to say it more definitively, all referrals are procedures and interventions for the purposes of our language and our standards for gravity. That's just the truth, right?
Great.
What Jeff was, because it's literally a procedure. It's coded as a procedure. And they actually are coded as procedures in the first domain. I don't, if it wasn't obvious, it's on us, but there's a lot of referrals in there. What Jeff was highlighting is that because of it being the beginning of a journey, where the healing is actually happening is likely after the referral, right? And maybe it's happening with maybe the social worker who receives the person is doing some healing and then also referring, right? So not to say that a place a referral is originating from is not a place of care and services and support, but we did have a very clear conversation in our,
Got it.
yeah. So
Good.
yeah, so they're both coded as procedures because they have to be. Okay. What we talked about in AMNEVA, which is the easiest way to say mistreatment of non-elder vulnerable adults, is that it was the beginning of a journey. Jeff, does that do that justice for you? For us?
Yeah, I think that's the best way to think about it because you know everything is interdependent and linked.
Yeah.
Referrals can happen, and some of the systems actually their metric is did referral happen. You know some of the payee related stuff that's the way that gets construed, but referrals don't always result in any action to stop or prevent abuse. They can facilitate, certain levels of access, but I think when we were discussing it, our idea was to be sure that people didn't assume that referral was the only thing that was necessary and that referral itself is thought about as sufficient to, again, achieve a prevention, control, management, termination, whatever outcome. And to also ensure that, for instance, if there's a need for some therapeutic intervention, that therapeutic intervention was actually obtained.
Makes total sense. Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah. Oh, no problem. Again, and one thing we've been saying over and over, this is very, very complex, but we have to talk about it because the different systems that might come into play, they all potentially define the outcomes differently.
And Jeff, I just want to note that what you mentioned comes up a lot from our community-based organization and social care experts in our governance committees. When we think about like the NCQA SNS HEDIS measure for social needs, there was this outcry that referrals were included as an intervention until we realized it was one of the many, right? And so we've been talking, so that relates, right? And you look to outcomes measures. This is a process, measures and outcomes measures, and the different weight of interventions can be carried out in other ways. But Omar, thank you. Jeff, thank you. Phil and Emily, thank you. And Kathy, Thank you out there. And luckily, again, Phil, Emily, and Kathy, we get to keep on working with you on the paper. And now, onto our final domain. Omar, and again, I keep on missing people, but I do think Omar, I don't see Jeremy or Teresa. I see Marcia. Marcia was here. Is Marcia still here? Okay. Regardless, here they are. This is our Tuesday morning group. This is the first time it's been mostly lawyers. Lucky us, mostly attorneys and lawyers in our subject matter expert gathering. The amazing Jeremy Spiegel, Dr. Marcia Regenstein, who came to us our second time, who helped us with language access in a prior domain because of her expertise there, but she's also an expert in MLP. The one and only Omar Martinez, who was on the call a few seconds ago, and Teresa Brabson. We all got a crash course in ethics with this group. The care with which they decided what needed to be documented and what needed to remain obtuse was the theme. And that's just out of the deep respect for the tenderness and the responsibility they have as they address individuals' legal needs and try to protect patient and client privilege and just reduce risk of bias and harm. So Jeremy, Marcia, Teresa, Omar, thank you so much. Again, super lucky that I get to, and Asha and I and Sarah get to work with you all on a white paper trying to represent the expertise of what you have helped us with. Next slide. Next slide. So we have two instruments. One is based on the iHelp framework and one is OPAL. These are stable, have been stable for a long time. We did get one comment that we might want to change the name of how we've represented the iHelp instrument. It's an iHelp-based instrument. It is not iHelp. iHelp is a framework. So we'll see if the name of that changes, but the questions and answers are all stable. Next slide. Next slide. These are constant over some time, legal needs and health harming legal need. Next slide. And then these, we have a late breaking Omar, late breaking comment. Bethany Hamilton and the National Center for Medical Legal Partnership came in with this beautiful comment about trying to make sure that it aligned with the LSC taxonomy of legal problems. So we're gonna meet with our legal needs experts on the flip side and LSC representatives just so LSC can, which is the primary entity funding civil legal aid, and we've talked about them a fair bit, can get caught up and can understand the work that we've all done. But these concepts are fairly stable and generally align with the LSC taxonomy of legal in the categories of legal problems. So we're good to go. Omar, does that part make sense to you? I know you're in the car.
Yes, totally. I'm
Great.
glad that she reached out.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah. So, the good thing is I was like, this is the way you comment, make a formal comment, right? And so, and that it's mostly just catching these amazing experts up to the work that you've all done. And there's not actually like much of, but like maybe a mapping, like we can demonstrate how they align, but more to come. Next slide. Next slide. This is, stable. Next slide. This is also stable. Our definitions for these concepts will likely be based on international literature because there's some lovely work from OECD on legal advocacy and definitions, and we can get that into the easily into the record. Next slide. Okay. Okay. I'm reading Jeff's thoughts. Oh. Yes, so okay, Jeff, you have a lot of amazing thoughts there. So there is we have some of the additional concepts that you raise as professions, we basically we either roll them up to non-attorney legal advocates, right? Which is a concept on one of our profession slides. So the additional folks, social workers are already there, care navigators, managers, they're already in our value set. So those are all covered. I think, do you want to, I mean, do you want to come off to talk about, okay, I see a thumbs up. I'm trying to read.
No, and you know my intention.
No, I know. I mean, I love your intention always, sir. Always. I'm just trying to make sure I acknowledge it. Um, uh,
Yeah,
oh,
it
so
was just a thought because again, we saw some explicit categories, and I was
yeah,
wondering about beyond just like lawsuit level territory.
yeah,
There are folks who help with mediation, adjudication, a
yes,
number of other things.
yeah,
And it is when we were talking, sometimes, the only way people see an actor is if you note the actor. So again, that's one of the reasons I just wanted to ask about legal advocates, for instance, or ombudsman, you know.
yeah. So Asho, did we talk about ombudsman? We weighed carefully whether to add additional non-attorney legal supports. And then we realized that most of them were contained in this non-attorney legal advocate concept that already is defined and exists. So that was where, because we try to be prudent about what we develop. Um, we did have we did. Can we go back? So let's go to interventions. Next slide, because we're going to be getting here. Uh, so we have navigators and intake specialists. So insofar as professions, Jeff. We have navigators and intake specialists. Next slide. An intake specialist was meant to be broad because this is like that type of person who helps you in all kinds of different places. And then we did not redemonstrate, except on the master, all of the other interventions we have. So I think if you want to make a yes with a comment, I think that your thoughts are represented in the content, but I just want to make sure. Does that sound good, Jeff?
Oh yeah, I accepted it.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll
You
just,
know me. I
I
just
know.
dropped in some thinking.
We love that about
just to
you.
be
I really do. Like, it's like my favorite. Trish?
Okay, I just want to make sure. So like a guardian ad litem, that's already
Oh,
included?
I don't know how, that's interesting that I don't think we have that. That would be a program, right? Not like the
Well, it
guardian.
could be a court-appointed attorney, it could be a social worker, just
That's what I'm
whoever
trying to say is it's not like a profession. It's like, so when we do those kinds of, we'll cross check.
Okay,
But
just
if
check.
you,
It could be a role, right? So it could be through CASA, right?
yeah,
Court-appointed special advocates. It could be.
I just
So
want
just check.
to,
Yeah.
if you can formally, that has to be done in a comment. Did you already vote?
Oh, I already voted. I
Okay.
didn't think about it. I
I
just
know. Okay.
until
Can you just
Jeff
send
was
an
asking
email?
those questions.
Just send
Yeah.
an email just to respect the process,
Okay,
right?
got
So
it. Will do.
if people want things like some of them I can answer, like, oh, social worker, it's in the blah, 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 blah. But if we
Yeah.
need to consider something that we maybe have not considered, it needs to be documented in the nerdy way.
Okay, I'll send you an email. Thank you.
Great. And we'll just make it a yes with comment because we were all here and we all saw. Okay. Whew. Okay. I don't think Marcia's on the call anymore. At least I don't see her anymore. Omar, thank you for being here. Any final thoughts, Omar, coming to us live?
This was an amazing process, a beautiful process, the discussion, the thoughtfulness. I mean, Teresa was a great addition to the team. She's executive director for Legal Clinic for the Disabled, a legal aid organization serving underrepresented folks all across Philadelphia. We just had a great group, and just happy about the process and grateful.
Thank you. We're grateful for you. Coming to Puerto Rico soon. We have plans.
Let's make it happen.
Let's make it happen. Anyway, thank you. And Marcia and Jeremy and Teresa, who are not here, we thank you as well. All right. And so, Jeff, I'm going to ask you to do the same thing. If you already voted, if you can just copy that amazing Jeff Hall wisdom and send it in an email just so we can formally respond to it, that would be great. I hate to be so annoying. I'm just trying to
Will
make
do.
sure.
No worries.
You're the best. Okay. All right. We're almost down to the wire. We have, oh, it's 4 minutes. Next slide. Okay, next slide. This is Old Hat. This is the patient experience of social care measure. So excited to get this encoded in LOINC. Cannot wait. It's a long awaited thing. Our amazing friends at UCSF Siren helped create. Next slide. These are just little dribs and drabs. Next slide. Things that we notice that we're missing, synonyms we have to make. And then Omar, we got stumped today, like how to represent a plural, promotores, in SNOMED when they don't use plurals for those kinds of roles. So we're going to have a little conversation with SNOMED about how to represent gender neutral concepts that are plural in professions. More to come. And then next slide. Okay. Next slide. This is just again reminding you of the vote. I'm missing you guys already. Jeez. 2 months. 2 months? 2 months. We work really hard in those 2 months though. Next slide. Everyone on the call has the link. Please do submit your vote by tomorrow at 8 p.m. Pacific time or 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I thanked the SMEs. I'm now going to thank all of you for participating in this amazing work that we do together. I hope you all come back on August 6th to reconvene with us. And I'm lastly going to give a shout out to the amazing women of Gravity Terminology. Best fam ever. Thank you all for your expertise, and teamwork makes the dream work. All right. Have the best summer. Write us with your comments. Don't forget to send your comments. Stay in touch. And we'll see you in August, but you'll also probably see us sooner. Anyway, much love. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye. Sarah, take a little bit of time. Walk around your lake.
I'm going to go walk around the lake. I'm going to go sniff some flowers. Okay.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.